Hello everyone, welcome to a presentation about visiting our parks this summer. This presentation is designed for visitor information centres and licensed tour operators. I'd like to start our presentation by acknowledging the traditional owners of all the lands that we live and work in, and to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is David Nugent. I'm the Director of Fire, Emergency and Enforcement with Parks Victoria. I'll speak to you about what the season's shaping up to be from a bushfire and a general weather point of view, and a little bit about how Parks Victoria is prepared for our summer. I'll then hand over to Prue Daly, our Community Engagement and Tourism Officer with Western Region, who will talk to you about how we provide information to our visitors to help keep them safe while they're out visiting our parks. So what's the season going to be like? Many of you will have been listening to weather outlooks and be aware that we are now in a La Nina weather pattern. The Bureau of Meteorology has issued that advice, and many of you will have seen what that's meant for us over the springtime and as we head into early summer. The fact that we are seeing some wetter conditions and it feeling a little warmer. So with that information, we also get advice from the experts from AFAC, the Australasian Fire and Emergency Service Authorities Council, who analyse all of the information from the Bureau of Meteorology and from around the country to give us a bit of an outlook about what the bushfire season will look like. And you can see on the map that we've provided here from that analysis from AFAC that across a lot of Victoria, we are looking for a normal fire potential for bushfires for this season. And in fact, even some areas of the east of the state and the Otways, it will potentially be a bit below normal fire potential. That information really comes from that analysis about how our forest will be looking with all of that moisture in it and what that means for the sorts of fire behaviour that we will see occurring in our across our parks, and I'll also talk a little bit more about what that might mean more broadly. But Parks Victoria is prepared for our fire season. Doesn't matter what the season is, we do some really important work to leading into the fire season, and in fact throughout the year, but it is important to understand what we do during the springtime as we lead into the summer. And I'm sure many of you would appreciate that involves the mulching or slashing of vegetation, of fuel breaks, and it also means that we undertake some planned burning around the state as well. Much of our planned burning is done during the autumn when the weather conditions are more suitable for our planned burning, but we also do some really important work in the springtime leading into the summer, particularly smaller areas that are important to communities that might be adjoining our parks and reserves, and those fuel breaks are particularly important during those times as well. So there's been a significant amount of work that we've done leading into the summer. The conditions through that La Nina always will influence how much we can get done, but there has been burning done and certainly a lot of slashing of our fuel breaks. And in fact, the continued rainfall that we're getting has meant that we have to make some careful decisions about when we do the slashing of our fuel breaks, and sometimes that means that we might have to go back and do them twice as well. The other important thing for people to understand is how Parks Victoria supports the other agencies with our staff involved in our bushfire response. We have 723, as you can see on the slide there, people who are trained in an in-fire and emergency role. We have, out of that 723, there are 130 people who are accredited in a senior role. So that's just to give you an indication that we've got a lot of people in Parks Victoria who train to respond, and a large part of those people are really experienced and play a really important role in protecting our community, for whether they're fires or events that might be in our parks or on private land as well that we help out with. We also employ 198 seasonal project firefighters so that they bolster the resources that we have within Parks Victoria. It's important to know that in addition to the Parks Victoria staff that support all of the fires that might occur on our parks and reserves, that we are a part of that broader Forest Fire Management Victoria workforce, which includes the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, Melbourne Water and Vic Forest, to make up a really significant number of people who are available to fight our fires, along with all of the other resources that we have with aircraft and fire vehicles and so on. And we don't only fight our fires that occur in our parks and reserves on public land, but we also work together with Country Fire Authority, Fire Rescue Victoria, Emergency Management Victoria to fight fires on other land right across Victoria. So we contribute in a significant way. Perhaps the last thing I might say before I hand over to Prue is that in addition to fires this summer, I mentioned that we are in this La Nina event, and it might not only be bushfires and the heat that we're experiencing, but many of you would have seen or experienced the storms that we've had over the last 6 months. So it's really important to understand that we will also be playing a role to provide information to people about when it's safe to go into our parks if they've been affected by storms as well. Sometimes we have to close areas because of the effects of storms that affected our parks as well, and potentially even flooding events that we may get as well. So as while it's a summer that we traditionally think about bushfires, there may well be other things to think about as well. So in that sense, I'm now going to hand over to Prue, who'll talk to you about how we can keep people as safe as we can and how we provide information for the upcoming summer.